I was on cloud 9. Unfortunately, everything after that scene never achieves the high of that scene. Hey, what's up? My name is John Bonjour. I am a comic book artist and film enthusiast, which makes me the only person you should listen to when talking about the MCU. Just whole stop, listen to no one else. I am doing an MCU rewatch to end all MCU rewatches on the road to Avengers Doomsday. Today we are talking about Iron Man 2, directed by Jon Favreau, starring Robert Downey Jr., Gwyneth Paltrow, and Sam Rockwell. So this is an interesting movie in that I always attempt to go into these as I'm rewatching the MCU as a big fan of the MCU. I'm trying to rewatch these with fresh eyes as something I've never seen before, and this was probably the easiest version of that because I genuinely haven't seen this movie in a really long time. It has been years since I saw this movie, and I've always kind of thought of it as the bad Iron Man. And I'm not 100% sure that's not true because of the two Iron Man movies that I have watched, I do think this is the lesser. But it is interesting to rewatch it and realize how much fun Iron Man 2 actually is. Sure, there are problems, and we will get to those. I think truly the biggest issue of the movie is that it is trying to do too many things. And the downside of that in movies like Kraven or most of the Venom movies is that if you don't do it well, it feels like just kind of throwing a lot of sludge at your face. But in the case of Iron Man 2, I think all of the things that it is doing, it's doing a relatively good job at, and sometimes an extremely good job. Most of what this movie does, it actually does quite well, it's just doing too many things for one movie. In my rewatch this time, I experienced what I assume it was like to see this in a theater, and realized that the first 40 minutes of this movie are perfect. They are better than Iron Man 1, the first 40 minutes of this movie. Everything leading up to the race sequence is phenomenal. Getting to see the idea of this rock star superhero is really, really fun, especially, and this is kind of in the universe side of things, but especially as we look at it in comparison to the other very famous superhero in Captain America. They very intentionally in Iron Man 2 have Stark land at the Stark Expo, and it's kind of the same thing as what Captain America was doing for his USO tours. He's doing a little dance, he's in front of a bunch of hot ladies that are also doing a dance, but in Captain America it plays as this kind of sweet, wholesome, wholehearted thing, and in Iron Man 2 it plays as this very aggressive, very loud, bombastic character description. I think it's fun that we can have something in both of those movies that is kind of the same and expresses something completely different. Even down to the development of the new suits, everything in the first 40 minutes of this movie is legitimately perfect. The villain is set up in a very threatening way. I love having Whiplash be this guy who's been hurt by Iron Man, but Iron Man has no idea that he even exists. I think that's really fun. I think setting up the Tony and Pepper relationship in a way that's we can take this to the next step in this movie, and not in a Super Mario Galaxy way where it's just a filler plot to kind of, I guess, add something to the movie so that it functions on any level whatsoever. But this is a natural progression of these characters. Even having Tony give the company to Pepper, I think, is really fun and makes a lot of sense as his priorities are changing. So it's, again, the first 40 minutes of the movie are a perfect sequel to Iron Man. It even culminates in this incredible action sequence, one of the best in the MCU, at least so far in this rewatch, which is the race sequence where Whiplash is getting onto the... Oh, I don't remember what race it is because I don't watch sports and I'm not a smart person. It's not the Indy 500. Is it NASCAR? It's not NASCAR. NASCAR's the circle. Something in Monaco, maybe? Anyway, so he makes his way onto this big race, and he starts slashing up cars, and Iron Man, Tony is in one of the cars because he also thinks he's dying. It's this really cool kind of Venn diagram connection point of two plot threads kind of intersecting in a very successful way, which is a hard thing to do, a thing that I think a lot of movies don't necessarily succeed at. The coolest suit-up scene for Iron Man so far, which is the suitcase scene. We get to see him brawl it out with a villain of a completely different skill set that we've never seen before, and it just looks damn good. I mean, this is, again, one of the best scenes in the MCU so far in this rewatch, and I could not get enough of it. I was on cloud 9. Unfortunately, everything after that scene never achieves the high of that scene. This movie builds up to this beautiful, brilliant apex, and then there's another $120 after that. There's another hour that we just have to, not have to, this is what I'm saying. Nothing achieves the highs of the race sequence. It really does peak in that moment, but the movie overall is still really fun. A lot of this movie works really, really well. We still get all of these fun things like Justin Hammer, who is just one of the best things that has ever happened to movies. Sam Rockwell plays this weaselly little shithead in the most fun way possible, to the point that I am genuinely sad that he doesn't show up in the rest of the MCU. I wish this was a character that just popped up here and there through the rest of the movies, just to be a nag, really, just to kind of want something bigger for himself and never be able to achieve it. Maybe if they ever develop that Armor Wars thing, he'll show up, but they're also not going to do that, so I think he's in a What If episode. I'm getting on a side tangent, but it is also an important side tangent to just note that Justin Hammer is an incredible character, and he's such a fun value add to this movie, where him and Whiplash, the way that they interact, like Mickey Rourke and Sam Rockwell, like interacting, being these completely different guys, totally separate characters. It is so fun every scene that they're in. Literally every scene Justin Hammer is a part of is better than it has any right to be. Speaking of Mickey Rourke, the villain of the film, Whiplash, he runs into Justin Hammer and he uses his money and he uses his resources, but really, Whiplash is the villain, and I think he's extremely fun. They play him very subtly as kind of an anti-Iron Man, I mean, in the sense that he is literally anti-Iron Man, but also they play him as this kind of reverse mirror image of Iron Man, where he too is in captivity, sort of, and he too ends up building this big, crazy suit that no one is expecting him to build under the watchful eye of his captors. It's just, to kill a man instead of to escape and save himself. I like a villain with a specific and different power set than our hero. The first Iron Man just had Iron Man fight bigger Iron Man. This is really fun to have him fight bigger Iron Man with whips, but at least he has the whips, and I feel like that's important, and we can't lose that in this discussion. The suits overall, really, in this movie are very, very cool. The Whiplash final suit is awesome. The original Whiplash design is also very, very good. A lot of the times in these comic book movies, you'll get the prototype suit, and it's just clearly not as good as the next suit because you know that you want to get to the next suit. And this is not one of those. I think his original design is so badass that it's like he gets his new mech upgrade and you're like, sure, that is also good, but it is not better. It is just a lateral move into a different direction. I also love Iron Man's new suit at the end of this movie. He develops a new atom, a new molecule or something like that, a new element. That's the word I'm looking for. He develops a new element, and that is also a part of this movie. It's this strange thing. The first 40 minutes and the last 30 minutes are extraordinary and really, really fun and very engaging. And there is a solid chunk in between those where just a bunch of shit happens. And I don't find any of that uninteresting, but it is a lot, and it feels like we cover a lot of ground that is not bad ground to cover. It's doing so much of it, and for one movie, it feels like it's covering a little too much ground, even if it does a decent job with all of it. So you have the Whiplash story, you have Justin Hammer, you have the Demon in the Bottle storyline, and you have this kind of development of a pseudo-Avengers storyline that will come into play later, but not really, and we'll kind of get to that as we talk about the Avengers. But those are 3 or 4 pretty substantial stories that honestly, I think if you had just shaved 1 or 2 off of them, it probably would have made the movie better. I think if you cut Nick Fury out of this movie, obviously you need to retool quite a bit of it, but if you cut Nick Fury and Natasha Romanoff out of this movie, it probably is more functional as a film. It's less exciting as a piece of a universe, but as its own separate thing, I think it probably works a lot better and ends up being, I don't know about more fun, but more streamlined. Of course, another standout of this movie is Robert Downey Jr. I would be remiss to say that he is not the best part of this movie. I don't know, it feels like a lot of negatives. I would be stupid to say that I would be wrong. He is the best part of this movie, and there is just no getting around that. He brings this charismatic charm and effortless, breezy, back and forth dialogue that I just think is so extraordinarily entertaining to watch. And also, this is a movie that solidifies a lot of what Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man actually is. He sets up that kind of breezy attitude in the first one. This one, he really locks into what that looks like as a superhero and what that looks like in his Tony Stark and in his Iron Man personas, both of which are now kind of inextricably linked. It's fun to see him be both of those and interact in that way. And even in the Demon in a Bottle storyline, the thing where he's starting to get hurt from the arc reactor and he's dealing with his alcoholism, which this movie is very uninterested in addressing his alcoholism, which is fine. Honestly, I think that would have been one too many things for this. Also, Don Cheadle as Rhodey is so great in this. It's always odd when a character that you like is recast, but Don Cheadle is a great guy to put in your movie, and I think he is a great Rhodey, and he does a really wonderful job. His suit also looks extremely badass. Iron Man 2 is a movie that is doing a lot, and it is doing a lot with what it's doing, and I think overall the movie is successful in my mind. It's very, very fun, it's engaging, it's exciting, the final action sequence is explosive, and you know, I mean, it's a bunch of robots fighting a bunch of robots, but it's a lot of fun to watch, and I think the kill box scene is really fun. Whiplash's scene is really cool. All of the movie is very cool and very fun, even if it is a little bit too much. Overall, in the universe, as we're looking at this chronologically, it's fun to see the Stark-Cap connections. Seeing him like have the prototype shield is really cool. I like that we're involving Anthony Stark. Is that his dad's name? We're involving Papa Stark, and I think that's a very cool add to these movies. I like that we're keeping those kind of locked in. Dealing with legacy, a word that the movie says quite a bit. Struggling with the idea of your parental units being something so impactful, and now you have to figure out how to live up to that and be your own guy. I think that story is really cool for Iron Man, and also from a Universal perspective, it is really fun to see him just kind of randomly show up in things. Like I said before, we're kind of setting up the Avengers in this movie in a kind of roundabout way. The movie ends with Samuel L. Jackson telling Robert Downey Jr. that he is simply not good enough. And it's a fun scene, it works quite well, but you can kind of feel it. Again, we'll get to this when we get to the Avengers, but you can kind of feel that it doesn't totally makes sense necessarily, other than just maybe they wanted to put a pause on the idea of him being an Avenger. Jumping ahead to the Avengers, there's a couple of throwaway lines where he like talks about how he was never actually a part of it, and also the Avengers Initiative got canceled. I don't totally know why we wouldn't just have the Avengers Initiative get canceled. Like that seems like the way to go. It seems odd to have the end of this movie be, actually, we don't think you should be an Avenger, and the beginning of the Avengers be like, actually, we do think you should be an Avenger. I don't totally have a good handle on how much they knew going into these, whether or not they were making just this one or a whole litany of movies. So I think by the time we get to Thor, I'm pretty sure they know that they're making, you know, the Avengers, and Captain America obviously is called Captain America the First Avenger. So they know that they're making those. Iron Man 2 kind of feels like they didn't totally know if that was going to happen, but they're like, yeah, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But then again, they got Samuel L. Jackson, so like, I think they knew. I assume they knew. It really feels like it's headed in that direction. I think so far, this is probably the best example of what you can actually accomplish with a shared universe. The way that they have Coulson leave this movie to just go off and do Thor stuff, obviously they don't say that, but the way that they just have him leave and just middle of the movie is really fun, because A, his purpose has been served in the story, and B, it kind of sets up this feeling of like, oh, where's he off to? Obviously we'll find out later that he's going to find Thor and figure all that out. But having that direct a connection from movie to movie, I think is one of the shining joys of this universe, and something that, and we'll see if this is true as we get through, something that feels a little bit lost in a lot of the Marvel movies as of late, because it feels like a lot of them aren't really knowing what the next one is going to be. A perfect example right now, as this video is coming out, Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is releasing, and also later this year, Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out. And we don't know that Spider-Man isn't in the Daredevil show, but I'm pretty sure Spider-Man isn't in the Daredevil show, because that seems like it seems like we would know that at this point if he was going to be in it. There is this kind of strange thing where Spider-Man is supposedly actively happening right now. I mean, like, he is just going around being Spider-Man, and also Wilson Fisk is mayor/king of New York and trying to kill all of the vigilantes. So it's like, there's no connection there. We're not even gonna brush on that idea. Things get shuffled around, and it's nice to see, I guess is what I'm saying. It's nice to see in Iron Man 2 that kind of be streamlined into, this was clearly made when they knew they were making Thor, maybe even at the same time that they were making Thor. So they were like, we'll just send a character over into Thor, and that is also happening. And for this rewatch, it makes it really, really fun. Iron Man 2 is a movie that I think is way more fun than I remembered it being. I had a great time watching this. I was locked into it 90% of the time, 95% of the time. I had a really wonderful time. If you have seen Iron Man 2 recently, what did you think of it? And if not, do you have a favorite jacket? Do you have like a jacket you really, really like? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching this video and checking out my channel. If you want to see more of these, I am doing a video on every Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. I have decided that I'm doing just the movies and not movies and shows, because I just simply can't process that much content between now and Avengers Doomsday. But if you want to hear more of my thoughts on movies, comics, and TV shows, hit the like button, the subscribe, and comment down below what you are most excited for me to review coming up in this Marvel Cinematic Universe. Or do none of those things, because I am not your dad.